All right, so let's dive into this whole world of U.S. government contracts.
Okay.
Specifically, today we're tackling FRR Part 1,
Right.
the kind of the foundation of this whole system.
Yeah.
And, maybe you're considering government contracting, maybe you're just curious about this massive system.
Right.
But either way, you can think of this as your shortcut
Yeah.
to understanding the essentials.
Okay.
So we've got a great YouTube video here from Win Government Contracts with GovSuccess that really breaks it down, simplifies it.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be referencing excerpts from the actual FR Part 1 document itself.
Sounds good. Yeah, a two-pronged approach
Exactly.
can be very helpful.
Yeah, so first things first.
Yeah.
What is the FR system?
Yes.
And why should anyone care?
The FIR system really aims to bring uniformity and transparency
Okay.
to how the government buys things,
Makes sense.
which ensures fair competition and responsible use of taxpayer dollars.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's more than just a static set of rules, right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving,
Yeah.
adapting to the changing world of procurement.
Hmm.
So that's why it's often called a living document.
Okay, so it's dynamic.
Very much so.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the players involved.
Okay.
The video mentions this acquisition team.
Right. And it's not just the procurement folks.
Right.
It includes everyone,
Right.
from the initial customer with their specific needs, all the way to the contractors who actually deliver the goods or services.
So like a chain, each link is vital.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, think of it like that.
But chain.
Yeah.
And then the video really highlights this contracting officer or CO.
Yes,
They sound pretty important.
absolutely. The CO holds the real power. They're the only ones authorized to commit government funds.
Wow.
So building a good relationship with the CO is essential for any contractor.
So understanding their role and working well with them.
Yes, very key.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The video also mentions this contracting officer representative
Great.
or KCOR.
Yes.
What's their deal?
So think of the KCOR as like the project manager on the government side.
Okay.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
They can't actually change the contract.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for potential conflict.
It can be.
Yeah.
You can imagine like a government PM getting super excited, agreeing to a change,
Right.
only to realize later they had absolutely no authority to do so.
Wow.
So that's why clear communication
Yeah.
and a solid understanding of everyone's roles
I-
is so crucial.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how important these roles are.
Yeah.
Now, what about the structure of the FAR itself?
Oh my gosh.
It sounds pretty complex.
It is. It's got subchapters, parts, subcards, sections, subsections.
Oh my gosh.
It's a system designed for very precise references.
So like a giant library with
Right.
every rule in its specific place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in order to find what you need, you have to understand this numbering system.
Okay.
So, for example, 52.2046,
Okay.
each number, points to a very specific part, subpart section.
So it's all about knowing where to look.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about these agency supplements the video mentions?
Right. So each agency can have its own set of supplemental regulations
Yep.
that build upon the FAIR Foundation.
Okay.
So think of it like this. The FAIR is the base.
Okay.
And then each agency can kind of add its own layer on top.
Okay.
So, for example, the Department of Defense has the DFARs.
Got it.
Yeah.
So mastering the base, FAR is step one.
Exactly.
Then you can dive into the agency-specific details.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the video also talks about deviations.
Yes.
What are those all about?
Essentially, a deviation is any time an agency needs to do something differently than what's prescribed in the FAIR.
Well.
And there are two types. Individual,
Okay.
which applies to a single contract,
Got it.
and class, which impacts multiple contracts.
Okay, so why are deviations allowed at all if the FER is supposed to be uniform?
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The FER aims for consistency, right?
Right.
But it also needs to be flexible enough
Yeah.
to adapt to unique situations.
Oh,
It's kind of a balance
Yeah.
between standardization and recognizing that one size doesn't always fit all.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And the video gave some interesting examples of class deviations, like changes to spending thresholds.
Exactly, like the increase in the simplified acquisition threshold,
Right.
which impacts, numerous contracts.
Yeah.
So, these deviations highlight how the FER is truly a living document,
Okay.
constantly adapting to the realities of government procurement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got like a good grasp on deviations now.
Yeah.
But the video also mentions that the public can actually participate
Right.
in shaping the FER.
It's true.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that simple?
Yeah, the FEFOR process is surprisingly open to public input.
All right.
In fact, agencies are obligated to seek feedback from interested parties when making, significant changes.
So how does that work in practice?
Mhm.
Do they just blast out an email asking for opinions?
Not quite.
Okay.
Agencies publish proposed changes in the Federal Register, which is essentially the official journal of the U.S. government.
Okay.
And it's publicly accessible, so anyone can submit comments on those proposed FR revisions during, designated periods.
The Federal Register. Got it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I should probably get more familiar with.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Even with this video guide,
Right.
the FFR can be dense.
Yeah.
Sifting through the legalese to understand each proposed change. Seems like it would take serious dedication.
You're not wrong. It requires effort.
Okay.
But think about the potential impact.
Yeah.
Even small changes to the FFR can ripple across the entire government contracting landscape.
Okay.
Your input could help shape how billions of taxpayer dollars are spent.
Okay, now I'm feeling the weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
But it's also empowering to know that our voices can actually make a difference.
It is, exactly. Knowledge is power. And understanding the FAR empowers you to participate in shaping this, critical process.
Okay.
Now let's circle back to a topic we touched on earlier.
Okay.
Unauthorized commitments.
Right.
We know they're a big deal.
Yeah.
But can you elaborate on why?
Right. So we know the CAO is the only one with the authority to officially bind the government to a contract.
Yeah.
But why is it such a big deal if, say, a program manager agrees to something outside of the contract's scope?
It might seem like just a technicality.
Yeah.
But unauthorized commitments can undermine the entire system.
Okay.
Remember, we're dealing with taxpayer money here. Every dollar spent needs to be properly authorized and accounted for.
Okay, so it's about more than just following the rules. It's about maintaining the integrity of the whole process.
Precisely.
Okay.
Unauthorized commitments create kind of a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Where agreements are made without proper oversight, which can lead to all sorts of problems like cost overruns, delays, and even legal disputes.
Okay, so what happens if an unauthorized commitment does slip through?
That's where ratification comes in.
Okay.
The FAR outlines procedures for dealing with those situations.
All right.
It's a way to, retroactively approve an action.
So like a safety net?
Not exactly.
None.
Ratification isn't a free pass. It involves a thorough review process to ensure the action was necessary, the price was fair, and the funds were available. So it's a serious matter and not always guaranteed.
Got it. So ratification is a last resort, not an easy out.
Exactly.
Okay.
This really emphasizes the need for everyone involved in government contracting to truly understand the rules.
Speaking of which, we talked about the CO and the COR.
Right.
But what about the contractor side?
Yeah.
What are their key responsibilities?
Contractors have a major role in ensuring ethical and compliant conduct. It's not just about following the rules. It's about understanding the spirit of the FR and embracing its principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly.
Both the government and the contractors
Yes.
need to uphold the principles of the FIR.
It's a partnership
Okay.
built on trust and respect.
Got it.
Now let's talk about deviations again.
Okay.
We know they exist.
Right.
But how can contractors stay informed about them and how they might impact their contracts?
That's a great question. It's one thing to know deviations are out there.
Yeah.
But keeping track of them and understanding their implications seems tricky.
It can be challenging, but there are resources available to help contractors stay in the loop.
Okay.
Remember the Federal Register. It's a good place to start.
Okay.
Agencies are required to publish notices of both individual and class deviations there.
Right, the Federal Register.
Yep.
But realistically, that's a lot of information.
It is.
Are there any other, more manageable ways for contractors to stay on top of these deviations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Many agencies publish their own supplements to the FFR,
Okay.
which include, agency-specific deviations.
Okay.
For instance, the Department of Defense publishes the DFARS, as we mentioned before.
Right.
These supplements are often more concise,
Okay.
easier to navigate.
So it's about knowing where to look.
It is.
Contractors should check the relevant agency supplements.
Yeah.
In addition to the Federal Register.
Exactly.